Hello, English 3 Online. This week for week 12, it looks like you have a lot of things to do, but really you have one major assignment here. The first thing you're going to do is a discussion, and that's simply to share your plans for spring break or what your ideal spring break would look like. That'll give us a chance to see what all of our classmates are up to and maybe have some dreams for future spring breaks. Next up is a podcast analysis, and I've given you guys some resources. You can choose one of the podcast stations that I've provided for you, or you can choose any podcast of interest to you as long as it's over 5 minutes in length. And I've given you guys a form to complete so that you're analyzing the different aspects of a podcast, hopefully grabbing some ideas for when you record your TED Talk or your podcast on your own. So this podcast analysis really it should translate into a better final product of the podcast or TED Talk that you are producing. Next up is your project-based learning research document. You've done all the work on the document if you've been following the pacing that I've outlined for you. You've researched your sources, you've completed your interview, and you've written a rough draft of a podcast script. So this week you'll be submitting that document. If you're behind, then you definitely need to do the work and submit that document. It's worth 20 points. And that will lead you to your major assignment this week, which is to record your podcast or your TED Talk. So I've provided some apps and links for you guys to record, polish, and edit your podcast or TED Talk. A podcast would be audio only. So you can have a blank screen. It could be an audio clip. You could put up a slide with a picture or something like that and just record your voice over it. That's totally up to you. A TED Talk, you would need to be in the video and you're recording yourself presenting your information, talking about this topic for which you are now an expert. You can include slides if you want. That way you have some talking points, but again, that's totally up to you. To do the TED Talk or the podcast, you can use the Anchor app, which you'll need to download and kind of play around with. You can use Adobe Express. You can use WeVideo, which is a tile in Saddleport, or really any tool that you have at your disposal as long as you can upload your work. To do that, you can upload a file. You can upload it to Google Drive and share a link. Or you can email me if you really need to. And no matter what, you'll need to submit your podcast or your TED Talk this week. Last but not least is one more skill in IXL, and that's to form the progressive verb tenses. So once again, be sure to watch the instructional videos that go along with most of the assignments, especially IXL and the big assessments like your podcast or your TED Talk presentation. And if you have any questions or need any help, we do have tutorial next week, at least one of them. Or you can email me and we can set up an appointment for a visit in room 203. Have a great week, everybody.